And this actually is a verse, is a short stanza, a Buddhist teaching preached by the Buddha, which is found in the Dhammapada, this stanza. And this is the Dhammapada, of course, we all know, is the teachings of the Buddha, which appears in the form of very short stanzas, short verses, and it's a compilation. And this is found in the Kuddaka Nikaya, one of the main 5 segments of the Pali Canon. This is one of the books in the Kuddaka Nikaya, and this is the 112th verse. And I would like to start off while thanking all the listeners today for spending your time with this discussion, for taking time out to be with us. I would like to read the Pali version of this short stanza and start off the talk with that. Yo che vassa satang jive apassang udayavyayang ekahang jivitang seyo passato udayavyayang. Yo che vassa satang. This is jive. This is living 100 years. Apassang udayavyayang. Apassang, passa is to see, not with the human eye, but through the eyes of wisdom. Apassang is not to see. Not to see udayavyayang. Udayavyayang is 2 words here, udaya, vaya. Udaya is the rising, vaya is the passing away. Apassang is not to see that. So you could live 100 years in this life, in this human world, and not see this through wisdom, the rising and passing of phenomena. But it's worth living one day. Ekahang jivitang seyo. Passato udayavyayang. Passato is to see. It's worth living one day. Better to live one day seeing udayavyayang, seeing this phenomena of arising and passing. So this is a very profound statement. If you just dwell into this statement, think about it. 100 years of a life without seeing udayavyayang, or without seeing the rising and passing. So you could live a life full of unwholesome activity, unwholesome verbal, mental, physical activity, 100 years of that, an unwholesome life. Or it could be 100 years of a life filled with acts of generosity, giving dana, generous deeds, offering danas to the Sangha, to stream winners, to the Buddha. It could be 100 years of that. Or it could be 100 years of maintaining a perfect sila. Or it could be 100 years of achieving and maintaining the state of jhanas. 100 years of that. Still, that's a very high, the merit that you're accumulating in those examples. I don't think we can even describe it. Only the Buddha could describe it accurately. But we can get an idea about the amount of merit that we would accumulate. But still, one day, doing that and not seeing the rising and passing. If you see a rising and passing, one day you don't have to do the dana, you don't have to do the sila or samadhi or the jhanas. But if you can, through wisdom or vipassana, if you can see this, experience this, living one day is of greater benefit. Why is the reason? What's the reason of that? Because seeing the arising and passing is the doorstep, and it's the doorstep to the supramundane experience. That marks the end of the beginning, the beginning of the end of your sansaric journey. That is where it stops. That experience, from that point onwards, is where your sansaric journey starts to shorten. But however much of dana, sila, you get a samadhi, you get a very wholesome, peaceful dwelling place in samsara, in the heavens and the Brahma world and so on, or in the human world with all the comforts. But still, you're not out of the system. You haven't penetrated delusion or avidya or ignorance. So you haven't penetrated that. You're still in this system. So this is very important for us to try to understand through the sutras. We have to always try to, I think, bring the sutras to the forefront and try to understand as much as possible. But the true realization of this, or it's an experience, it's a meditative experience, it's an experience that through the the sort of qualities that you cultivate through your meditative practice, you start seeing it in your day-to-day life as well. But nevertheless, you still have to cultivate this experience. You still have to consolidate this experience. You still have to sort of confirm this experience to your own self. So how do we, if you look at our existence, if you look at anything that comes to mind, the arising and passing of whatever that comes to mind it seems to be a very inherent natural phenomena of whatever you can think about. It may be planetary systems, it may be stars, it may be planets that we know can arise and pass. We know that. It may be living beings. We are born, we grow old, decay, and we die, we pass away. So there is a rising and passing phenomena. The seasons, if you're in a place where you can experience the seasons, there is a rising and passing of seasons. There is a rising and passing of thoughts, a rising and passing of emotions. And we all experience that. None of us can deny this obvious law of nature, that everything that we experience arises and passes. But yet, this is not what the Buddha wants us to see. This of course has a tendency, thinking in these lines, of course, would sometimes push an individual to explore deeper into the purpose of one's own existence. That benefit is there, but this is not the Udayavaya. This is not the experience of arising and falling or passing. The reason is we are looking through our, it's an understanding. So we look and we understand. It's an understanding. It requires activity. It requires intellect to think in these lines. Animals have, they have thoughts, but whether they have this sort of intellect to think of arising and passing of phenomena, we don't know. But for humans, certainly, this is a very common, acceptable understanding, but it requires the rational thinking, scientific mind. But that mind is not the mind that can experience the arising and passing of phenomena. The one who common understanding of things appearing and disappearing is not what is expected. That is not what will gain wisdom for you to truly, see the true nature of things That's how this is worded, isn't it? To see the true nature of things. So we need to change our mindset from the common intellectual, rational, analytical approach. The mindset has to be changed. Actually, there are qualities that has to be cultivated in this mind first and foremost, and then only will you be able to see the experience of Udayavaya or Udayavaya, or rising and passing. So what are these qualities that the Buddha wants us to cultivate? So there are 5 qualities, and this is called the 5 faculties, starting with faith, energy. Faith is Shraddha. Energy or courage is Virya. Sati is mindfulness. Samadhi is stillness or concentration. And Prajna. These are the 5 features, 5 qualities, 5 attributes that has to be developed, cultivated and developed to an extent, to a level where you start seeing things in a different light. And that is called Vipassana. So how do we do this? It is by practicing the Satipatthana. So I would like to read excerpts from the Satipatthana Sutra, so that I try as much as possible to, to discuss using the sutras, or using the statements given in the sutras. When you look at the Satipatthana Sutra, it is like a training manual. It is like a set of instructions that lead you to this experience. The instructions is given in the form of a request or telling you what to do. Plus, there are experiences that is laid down. The experience that a yogi will go through stepwise is laid down in order from the beginning to the state where you experience Udayavaya or Samudayavaya. So just to highlight these steps, I would like to go to the Mahasatipatthana Sutra. So we all know this sutra, and it is so familiar to us, but nevertheless we never get tired of it, listening to it. It is it gives such happiness to listen to this sutra. So I'm going to start with the relevant parts. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu aranya gatova rukka mula gatova sunyagara gatova. So this is the instruction the Buddha gives for us to, this is what we need to do, a prerequisite to cultivate these 5 features. We have to go to a monastery, the sort of root of a tree, or to a quiet place where there is no disturbance, sunyagara. Nisidati pallankang, adopt a comfortable meditation posture, cross-legged preferably. Abhujitva ujunkayam panidaya. You have a erect, straight spine. Parimukam sating upattapetva. Establish your mindfulness, be aware of sensations or periorally, what is happening around the mouth, specifically the upper lip, the region around the nose and the upper lip. Be aware of this area. That's one meaning. Another meaning is to bring mindfulness to the forefront. Parimukang sating upattapetva. Bring mindfulness to the forefront. So satova assa sati, so satova passa sati. So establish mindfulness in the breathing process. That's the instruction there. Establish the mindfulness. So satova assa sati, so satova passa sati. Digangva assa santo, digangva assa samiti pajanati. Very important statement and instruction, and this is also an experience. It's an experience that you will feel once you have established your mindfulness in the breathing process, in the present moment. Digangva assa santo. The breath appears long. There will be a long in-breath. Assa santo is the in-breath. Digangva, that's one sentence. The second one, Digangva assa santo pajanati. Let me repeat it again. Digangva assa santo, digangva assa samiti pajanati. Pajanati. First sentence means there is a long breath. It's happening. Second sentence means there is a knowing of the long breath. Pajanati. That's an important word to remember. The first sentence, Digangva assa santo, is a physical action. Experience of a physical action. Second sentence, pajanati, is a knowing of that experience. And may I also mention, this is not mental noting. This is knowing. Now, when we begin to meditate, we use the tactic, or we use the act of mental noting. We repeat, in our mind, we repeat in-breath as in, or whatever term you can use for the in-breath, just to bring the mind to this breathing process, because the mind, the tendency of the mind is to wander outwards to various objects. So you use this tactic of mental noting. Once you use mental noting to bring the mind, then you will see Digangva assa santo, long breath. Digangva assa samiti pajanati. Immediately, the knowing, there is a knowing that happens. So that those two words are important. And then we move on to Digangva passa santo, same thing, a physical experience. Digangva passa samiti pajanati. There is a knowing of this experience. There is a knowing of this physical action. There is a cognition. There is an understanding that this happened. And then we move on to this statement or this sentence, Sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati. So now there is no pajanati at this level. Sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati. Sabbakaya patisangvedi passa sissamiti sikkati. Initially there was an in-breath, well-defined in-breath, well-defined out-breath. And this was long, and you knew it was long, and gradually with time, you saw that it became short. Still, it was well defined. So the mind likes to have things in clear sort of boxes, clear demarcations. So up to that point, the demarcations were clear. But here, there is a transformation of your experience from Assa santo to Sabbakaya patisangvedi. Your breath, which is a physical experience, the demarcation that this is in-breath and out-breath, long and short, everything merges to the body. So there is the inability of distinction, inability of defining, inability of grouping your experience into a box. This is in-breath, this is out-breath, this is long, this is short, that disappears. Now the mind has to let go of the activity, the need to define and understand. The mind is now getting used to experiencing a bit of chaos, a bit of sort of a blurriness, a merging of experience. The mind is not trying to categorize experience. The mind is not trying to name. So that is what is Sabbakaya, that is what I feel, what is meant here when you look at the text. Sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati. Sabbakaya patisangvedi passa sissamiti sikkati. You are settling down, you are calming yourself. Sikkati is that. The mind is calming, the mind is letting go of that need to have things in an organized fashion. The mind is now getting used to a state where, okay, things may not be as organized as before, but that's fine. And there is no pajanati here. So this next sentence, passambayang kaya sankarang assasissamiti sikkati, passambayang kaya sankarang passasissamiti sikkati. So there is settling of volitional activity with regards to bodily functions, primarily with regards to the breathing. Because if you are able to let go of this very intrinsic primordial need to breathe in and to breathe out, if you're letting go of that, count like opposite to the normal instinct we have, leads you to a more calmer state in the mind. It doesn't lead to a situation where you're having deprived of oxygen and you're, putting your life at, in a threatening situation or jeopardizing your life. It doesn't lead to that. It leads to letting go and showing you that you can let go of your body and still, enjoy a better sense of peace, experience a better sense of calmness, a higher sense of sort of peacefulness. So this becomes the new normal, passambayang kaya sankara. Following this, iti ajjattang va kaye kayanupassi viharati. The moment you let go of your bodily formations or the will to manipulate your body, the moment you are able to really settle it or really let go of that, what you experience is another experience. This is the path, this is a series of experience laid down for us, for the yogi. Iti ajjattang va kaye kayanupassi viharati. So there is no in-breath, there is no out-breath, there is no demarcation from breathing and rest of the body. It is a sensation, it is an experience that tells you you are in the body. You are with the kaya, you are not with the manasa, the mind. You are not with the hearing, sota. You are not with seeing, chakku. You are not with smelling, gana. You're with the body, iti ajja, and the body appears differently. Now it is not organized. It is not in segments, my hand, my limb, my face, trunk, torso, nothing of that. It is just primal bodily sensations, primal experiences like firmness, softness, hardness, void, space, vibrations, coldness, warmth, feeling of fluidity, liquidity. Now, these are the sensations you are dealing with at this point. And the important word here, the first word was pajanati. Now we have left the pajanati part at this point. But now enters this word, iti ajjattang va kaye kayanupassi. Like the beginning, we mentioned the stanza, apassang udayavyayam, apassang, not to see. And then passato udayavyayam, to see, udayavaya. Now this is kaye kayanupassi. So you're not cognizing, you're not trying to understand, you're going to the root of an experience, to the very beginning of an experience, which is at the body. And it is seen through wisdom. Now, by this point of many years and years of practice, by this point, when you can experience this, you are at a bodily sensation, and that's it. That cannot be defined. It is in the forefront, and it is not definable. It is not defined. You cannot deduce an anatomical structure from it, but you have the rudimentary, basic sensations. And this is what you have to see. For the first time, Kayanupassi appears. So this is a form of vipassana. I would think that this is, the Buddha is talking about vipassana here, the beginning of that. And you're looking at the body through the body. The body is in the forefront, not the mind that follows, thinking, trying to understand. That is something else. That happens following this initial experience. So the initial experience is ajatama, but still, for example, if you have a migrainous headache, like a common headache, you know that there is an internal sensation. You know it's not external. So at this point, so that's like a pathological experience you have. But likewise, you do have a sensation, subtle sensation that tell you that this is coming from inside. It tells you that. And if you have the wind blowing or on your body, there is a sensation, and you definitely know that this is something coming from out. Your clothes coming into contact with your body, with your skin, that is something out. That is bahiddava, kaye kayanupassi. So that demarcation is still there as you move along in this journey of experiences, as you practice more and more, as you develop mindfulness more and more, you ascend or you go deeper inside into this experience. So we come to iti bahiddava kaye kayanupassi viharati no pajana. We are not dealing with some understanding. We are dealing with the initial experience. And then beyond this, what do we get? It is not, so you keep on looking at ajata. What happens is you tend to realize, okay, there is a bahidda, something coming from outside. When you keep on looking at this, you realize at one point you can't even make this distinction. The mind further lets go of trying to group or trying to define an experience as in and out. The margins get blurred further. There is a further dissolution of even this distinction. So the statement is ajata bahiddava kaye kayanupassi. Again, it is passi. See that. So I'll give you an example. When you're sleeping, let's say you're lying down, your head on your hand, let's say on the right lateral position, in the right lateral position. If you just focus your mind or focus your attention or your mindfulness to this experience of the pillow coming into contact with your hand, the outer surface of your hand, that's one interface. And then your palms coming into contact with your cheek, another interface. Your skull or your cheekbones coming into contact with your inner sort of the buccal mucosa, the third interface. So initially you may be able to distinguish all these interfaces. And bahidda is the pillow. Some instances, if you're, the bone or that sensation, the cheek may be bahidda. So you can distinguish, and this is a very dynamic distinction also. But with time, you will find that you cannot distinguish ajata bahidda. It becomes one en bloc experience, no margins. That is in the forefront. If you tread a little bit backward, then again you have your margins. Again you have my hand, my head, my cheek. So, but that is not the way forward. You have to tread forward. You have to develop your mind. So developing your mind is taking you to a sort of a disturbing, I would say, an experience initially, sort of a perplexing, sort of a confusing experience initially, where you lose boundaries. So losing boundaries, Mahatero Dhammajivotero always says, is you're losing this self. You're losing this person, the doer. You're losing the ego. That is what's happening. So if we have faith in this teaching, in the Buddha's teaching, that is very important to draw all the courage you have and take steps in the same direction. It looks like it's taking you nowhere. There is no meaning where you're going now. But have faith, uh, get acquainted with this experience more and more, and you will realize, my gosh, the tension that there is a relief that you feel, undeniable relief, and that's evidence of the path that you're following. So from Ajjata Bahidda, still now, because the margins have got blurred and it's just an in-block experience, now this is the time you can see Samudaya. It's an experience after an experience. Samudaya Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati. Important word here, Dhammanupassiva. Again, the passi, seeing, is mentioned, but now there is no Kaye Kayanupassi, there is Dhammanupassi. Now you started with the breath in and out, that changed into the body, your breath and your rest of the body, everything merged together. Your body has now again reduced to a basic Dhamma, from breath to body to Dhamma. So Dhamma Anupassi, this is the arising of this Dhamma that we create into my body. But before this creation, before this grasping, before this manufacturing or meddling with this experience, this is a Dhamma. This is a Dhamma means this is a natural, there is no interference. Nobody interfering with this phenomena, so it's a Dhamma. The moment somebody puts the finger and interferes, it is not a Dhamma, it is something that you are doing and you have created, something fabricated. This is a pure experience, Samudaya. So see, arising phenomena, the same bodily sensations that we are talking about, it may be coming from the internal organs, may be coming from some stimulus outside the body, maybe coming from the in-breath, maybe it is coming from some source for sure, but it is a Dhamma, it is an experience, and it is something that is seen through wisdom. It is not something that is understood through the mind, through cognition, through the intellect. Intellect we have let go. So you keep on seeing this, and this takes you to Vaya Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati. Vaya Dhamman. So when the more you keep seeing this, it's like what happened to your breathing. The more you start seeing the breath, it does decay into something different. So the more you start seeing Samudaya, appearance of phenomena related to the body, the more you start getting used to this, this starts decaying now. Now you see Vaya. So Vaya is, again, you need a lot of courage to sort of accept this fact. There's nothing is going to stay, nothing is going to last. Whatever experience that appears is going to fade, and it fades to an extent that you cannot initially, that you have not imagined. I'll give an example. If you're watching a theater, like a play, a stage, a drama, you see the main actors coming to the forefront. There are lots of actors, but the main actor, the spotlight will be focused onto the main actor. So Samudaya Dhammanupassiva is like this main actor. Samudaya, you see that person coming onto the stage. Now this actor leaves the stage and another actor comes onto the stage. That is one form of Vaya. Main actor leaving the stage. He is no more on the stage. And another actor comes. That is one form of Vaya. But think about this. Let's say this actor is there, Samudaya. He is present. There is something there. We can't define, identify. Okay, but there is something verifiable. I can feel this. Something has arisen. I can't even say whether it's vibration or liquid or firm. I can't even say that now. Even that distinction has gone, but there is something that is experienceable, something that is there. There is definitely not nothing. So this is Samudaya. While this main actor is on stage, think about where your position of observation is. You're in the audience. If you awaken to the fact that you're in the audience, the actor is not there. Even though he's in the stage, he's not in the audience. You're in the audience. So the moment he comes, the moment he's gone, if you're in the audience, if your mind is in the audience, it's as if he came and he went while he's on the stage. So that is also Vaya, where when the person or when the actor, when the phenomena is in front of you, it dissolves. It disappears from front to where you are. That is the line of movement you have to take your mind through, not lateral movement, not going out of the stage, not following him. When we meditate, we always follow a phenomena. Following is also creating. There is expectation to see something. This expectation can create a reality for you. So you have to not want to do that, not want to inquire, not want to follow Samudaya. If you follow Samudaya, you will see Vaya. That's the normal, that's the way we think. Don't follow. Don't do anything. Be aware of your point of observation of this phenomenon. And the phenomena is not there. There is nothing there. And you don't have to do that. By not following, your mind is brought to the point of observation. It's brought to the audience. Your observation is naturally deducted, or it is, it comes to this point where there is nothing, no actor. It's a natural degradation. It's a natural decay of a phenomenon. So think of I've never had this opportunity of real, seeing the Mona Lisa, probably the most talked about painting, the most valuable probably painting in this world. How long can you stare at that with this enthusiasm? How long? How long would it take for you to get fed up of it? Few seconds, I would say. Few seconds, you would have to move on to the next painting. You might look at the eyes, few seconds. You'll get tired of it. Look at the face, look at everything else, but you are moving your attention because Vaya is happening. And we don't like Vaya because there's nothing there. There's nothing to experience, nothing to enjoy. There is no pleasure in that. So a few years ago, space tourism had developed to such a great extent. Space tourism is now a real thing where you could charter your own space rocket and sort of blow yourself into space and experience that and come back. How long is it going to take for you to get tired of that view? How long is it worth $20 million? The last time I know this information, I was looking up in the internet. I think one trip was $20 million US many years ago. For how many seconds of a thrill? A very short lasting. That Vaya happens. The planet is there. The space is there. You are looking at the planet Earth, and it's there, and Vaya happens. It doesn't have to destroy for Vaya to happen. The physical planet doesn't have to get destroyed for Vaya to happen. The significance of what you see dissolves. That is Vaya. The meaning of what you see immediately dissolves. That is Vaya. So the last statement is Samudayavaya dhammanupassiva kayakasmin viharati. Now you are looking at Samudaya, happily looking at it, and you are still fixing a notion, still having a view. Something is there. Now you are seeing Vaya. You let go, you continue to see that. Naturally, you are brought down to this Vaya experience where decay, nothingness, emptiness. And you try, even this is not something permanent. Even this is something that you are trying to fix. And you try not to do that, you are taken to this Samudaya Vaya. So the more longer you see Vaya, again there is Samudaya. It is not a permanent thing. So you have to even let go of this distinction of Samudayavaya, this demarcation. So to a very fine level, you're taken in this journey so that you are not doing any sort of categorization. This is Samudaya, this is why. No, you're not doing that. And then you see Samudaya Vayadhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati. So this is where this is the ultimate sort of state in the Kayanupassana that you need to experience. And when you are doing that, I'll read it again. Samudaya Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati, Vaya Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati, Samudaya Vaya Dhammanupassiva Kayasmin Viharati. Atti Kayotiva Panassa Sati Pachupattita Hoti Yavadeva Jnana Mattaya Patissati Mattaya Anissitocha Viharati. I'm not fluent with all the meanings. Anissitocha Viharati. Anisitocha. You're not trying to fix things. Anishrita. Nishtrita is there is something definitive. There is no breath. Yes, okay. There is no body. There is no sense. Still there is Samudaya. No, at this level, there is no, you're not trying to even fix that in your mind. There is Vaya. You're not trying to even fix that. Anisitocha Viharati. It's a flux. It's probably what Dhammajiva Mahatero calls Gujaya. I'm thinking it must be that. It's a flux of a rising and passing. It's like the morning, the day and night. We like to divide. This is daytime, this is nighttime. 6 a.m. in the morning, there is a little bit of night. 12 noon, there is less night than 6 a.m. Again, 6 p.m., there is more night time than 12 noon. Isn't it? So there is, it's a flux. So at 6 p.m., there is less daytime than 12 noon. 12 midnight, minimal daytime. You can't say it's night only. You can, so you can't categorize these things. So this is the experience. And anisitocha viharati. So if you're not trying, this is, I think, talking about anitya sanyava. This is what develops for sure when you're meditating. You're not trying to fix things to understand. We need to, for understanding to happen, for cognition to happen, we have to take a selfie. We have to fix something. You take a selfie, reality is changed. That is not the reality anymore. So stop fixing and you will see the true flow of phenomena. That is Dhamma. That is why this is called Dhammanupassana. Anisitocha viharati nacha kinchi loke upadhyati. Nacha kinchi loke upadhyati. You're not clinging on to anything. There is no upadana. So if you're not trying to fix things in this mind state, there is no tanha. There is no upadana. So there is no upadana, there is no dukkha. Upadana pacchya bhava, bhava pacchya dukkha domanasa, and the suffering continues, so so on, suffering. So this is upadana is a prerequisite for suffering. So this should be evidence for you in your own mind. You don't have to ask anybody that your suffering has lessened in this state, even though you have reduced to Dhamma, there is no you, there is no suffering as well. So are we willing to make that trade? Are we willing to end suffering by ending this need to define, need to exist, need to be this person, need to understand, need to experience? We have to, so that is the question I would like to leave with you all and to end this talk.